from the Sydney Motorsport Park. We're here for round 2 of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series, and it's a fantastic night race event that we've got on here. For day 2 of competition, Jared McLean alongside me. We've had some fantastic racing so far, and it's only going to heat up tonight.
Our categories supporting our top line acts have been incredible. Open wheelers, Formula Ford, absolutely stunning. Not to say the least of the rest of them. We saw the legend cars out there, and man, oh man, some wild racing there.
9 categories of racing here this weekend with just under 200 competitors. A massive event that they've run here as part of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. But it's TA2 muscle cars right behind us by Maritimo, who are about to get underway with their first race of the evening. What an incredible qualifying it was, and incredible racing in day 1.
Absolutely wild stuff. We saw a clean sweep from this man off to my left, Mr. Brook. Wild stuff indeed. Pole. Race 1 with a win. Race 2 backed it up, and he starts from pole again tonight.
Plenty of events to talk about. Josh Webster yesterday lost a tail shaft down the main straight right here, which put a lot of debris on the track, and Brock Payne unfortunately got a cut tyre from that. We saw him work through the field in race number 2. Brad Gardner, well, he went to war, didn't he? And unfortunately for Ben Gomersol, he came into contact with him and spun him around and copped a 15-second penalty for that in race number 2. So Brad Gardner coming out of 4th position, he's got a little bit of work to do.
We re-qualified the cars here for day 2, and it looks like this. Tim Brook from the start, and Josh Thomas with his best start in a TA2, starting from the front row right off his right shoulder.
Well, it's cooled off a little bit tonight. Currently 17 degrees out there and dropping to a low of 11 as we get to the final races here tonight at about 9 p.m. on our coverage. We can't wait for this to get all underway. But well, Sydney Motorsport Park looks absolutely fantastic under lights, just like the racing we've had this weekend. Welcome back to the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. The Australian Drivers' Championship are out there warming up their tyres and the little HyperX ones. They're like a mini Formula 1 car about to get unleashed on this 4-kilometre circuit. 11 corners. They're going to have to negotiate a lot of downforce in them. There's been a lot of talk about how they've just been changing the wing setup on these cars just to get a little bit more. There's a couple of hard luck stories this weekend. Nico French, Dan McCarthy, has had some big moments. We'll get to that very shortly. Let's have a look how it's all going to start out. Dominant this weekend, Hayden Crossan will start out at number 1 with Sterling alongside Hamish Leighton, who's leading our Masters class in 3rd position with Kyle Gordon just behind. There's Bradley Smith, Nico French, who just made it out to the grid. Dean Crook back in 7th, uncharacteristic for him. Then it's Gardner, Stasi and McGarry to round out your top 10. Ewan in 11th, Catlin in 12th, then it's Lewis Davey, Rory McKercher, who won't be happy about 15th, Christian Peters will be out of 16th, and Rod Summons will be right at the back of the track. Now, he's been working on 4 cars this weekend as part of his team who are here, so they have not had a lot of sleep.
No, and they've had a couple of issues. My understanding, though, is that he won't be out for this one. Unfortunately, he's done for the weekend. But we do have the other 16 cars on the racetrack for this, the final race of the Hankook Australian Drivers' Championship for this round. It's their 4th round of the series. For much of it, it's been dominated by Damon Sterling. Coming into this round, he won 10 of the first 12 races. However, so far this weekend, it's been all about Hayden Crosland. He's starting from position number 1 on the grid.
Time to get this race underway. What's the start going to be like? Who's going to take a nice big risk here? Will Sterling take a dive? Because Crosland's been super dominant. We see the final couple of cars come around and form up this grid. Peters at the back with McKercher. Now we're ready to go. The lights are out, and listen to those high buses. They start to get the big RPM and have a look around the outside. For a moment there, Girton might have a look in the green machine. Can he get it done? Leighton with a lot of experience there, staying down the inside. He's had a couple of podiums, and they go right out on the ripple strip there. And for a moment, I thought something was going to happen to Sterling and Girton, but they managed to just stay apart. And in the meantime, Crosland, well, he gets away with another great start.
Yeah, Girton really had a look. Oh, spinner further back through the field. Can't quite see who that is. I think it's Gardner in the 25, and it is. Josh Gardner has looped it around. He's been running really well this weekend. Started this one from 6th position, but he is around on the exit of turn number 2. Carl Girton trying to take the fight here early on to Hamish Leighton, and he's going to swing one up the inside, is he? As we look further back at Dean Crook, who's not had a good weekend by his lofty standards. He says, I just can't find the setup around here at the moment. But he's in 2 minds because he's one of the category owners and founders. So he's got his hat on, really. I'll come back to that point in a minute as Leighton locks up, runs wide, and allows Girton the easy route through.
After his weekend that Leighton has had, it's been a high for him, really. Like he said, in the early days of the Australian Drivers' Championship, he got a couple of podiums, but since then the category has grown. It's multiplied 4 times more than what it was when he was racing then. So he said to get a podium this weekend really felt like his first real podium where he earned it.
And that takes me perfectly back to my point about Dean Crook. As the category owner and sort of manager behind the series, he said, I'm really disappointed personally to be 7th, but that shows the caliber of the series that this now has. The fact that, you know, in the early days he was the inaugural series champion. He could, you know, almost do it one-handed and still finish on the podium. However, now he really has to fight, scrap for every position, and he described the race earlier as the hardest 7th he's ever done as Catlin. A failed manoeuvre up the inside into turn 2, sees him make contact and spin around, so he went up the inside of Bradley Smith, in a bit deep, in a bit late, made contact with the 74, but it was he that came off worse.
Yeah, Girton, the Queenslander, leading this little pack in 3rd position with Leighton just behind and Nico French as we go back to a replay of that moment. And Catlin just comes down the inside. Smith, there's a little bit of a crossover there, but probably didn't come up just enough on the inside for the drivers to see. And Catlin will live to fight another day, unfortunately. Oh, no. Car has stopped. They're fairly robust. They take a little bit of impact on those steering arms. I don't know if that would have broken.
It's more these, Leighton White again at the turn 8 hairpin. He's got a reasonable exit and should just about hold off Nico French. But yeah, going back to why the car still stopped, quite often what happens, you see quite a bit in go-karting as well. When the engines get hot, they're quite hard to start. So if you spin around, have a slide like that, the engine's overheated, overworked and a bit stressed out, and they won't just refire straight away. So sometimes you have to wait 30, 40 even seconds before you can refire it. So hopefully that is the case and he can get that back running again.
Yeah, not a good spot to be on turn number 2 as Nico French has a look down the inside. He only just made it to the form-up grid here before. Got a word that he was down there bleeding the brakes on this after a broken gear shifter. And oh no, Catlin is still down there, and I think we're going to have a localised yellow. We're just waiting to see if anything happens on our Ringers Western timing screen there. If we see anything happen for the safety car to come out, we'll wait eagerly for that decision to come through. Hopefully he can still get that starter potentially. But Nico French, yeah, it's still working. They had a broken gear shifter. Also did a clutch this weekend. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Rory McKercher, who's further down in the list as well. We know he's sort of slightly different setup, obviously. Coming out of a wheelchair and driving in these things, he can't push the clutch in and things like that. So he's got some paddle shift stuff there as we see another lock-up from Leighton. And he's looking like he might have a spot on those tyres, and it's turn 6 again. But Rory came in last race. Unfortunately, they said the clutch was slipping. They've actually locked the clutch up on that, the mechanics, so he can still change gears, but he had to have a push start to get that car going. So they're going to take it out and send it no matter what. As we see the yellows come on, and the Hyundai safety car is going to be released out onto this track, which will condense the field back up, and hopefully Leighton can reassess the damage to that front tyre that he keeps locking up.
But out in front of the field is Hayden Crosland, the New South Welshman. Is leading the pack, and it looks like the safety car lights are out because the safety car is pulling away from the field at a rate of knots. So we're not too far away from a restart. A quick safety car period, 1 lap back off the circuit, and we're going to get things straight back underway.
Crosland, the former Ferrari Driver Academy entrant there. Got a bit of time there with Ferrari. He's a real talent, 3rd in the championship in 2024, and after had an incident there where he lost a lot of points at one of those rounds, he's been dominant this weekend. Crossland, great in qualifying, but in race pace, no one seems to be able to stay with him. As who have we got coming down the inside there? Are they trying to go into pit lane, or potentially just going to stop us with a restart? Sterling knows this is an opportunity though after Crossland got away on that start. And somebody thought they were going to get away a little bit early there. I think they are pulling back.
That's Chris Peters at the tail of the field. Crosland leaves it pretty late and now goes on a big swerving job. The snake down pit straight to try and stop Sterling from getting a tow. Sterling's going to go the high and a wide line around the outside at turn 2, or thought about it anyway, but he doesn't want to leave himself vulnerable to Kyle Girton. A big send around the outside at the turn 2 hairpin, and now he's going to have the inside for the next corner. Up the inside into turn number 3. French is really close to tagging the back there of Leighton through the turn 10 left-hander, and he's got a huge run onto the pit straight. Has French. He fires up the inside down towards turn number 1. I reckon he'll have the move made already down there. However, can Leighton go around the outside? You can in these cars because of the aerodynamic performance of them, and we are witnessing that through the first corner. But here comes Dean Crook. He's got the slingshot on them all. He's up the inside, but French says, no, I've fought hard for this place. You're not stealing it from me. But he runs in a bit too deep, and Dean Crook has pinched both positions. So Nico French did, for about 10 meters, take the place, take 4th position, but Dean Crook takes them both, and he steals 4th. But we focus at the moment on this fight for 6th position. Leighton has had such a strong weekend, but it's just not worked out for him in this one. It's been really interesting this weekend. They've never been here before in this category. A real reset, but here coming to the line, Hayden Crosland. One more, no, we are. Checkered flag across the line. He celebrates. It's a clean sweep. His first clean sweep in the Hankook Australian Drivers' Championship, taking the victory in the end by just 1.7 seconds.
What a place to do it. His home track, family and friends here as well. I went down there and there's a whole group of them celebrating as well. Let's have a look at the Hankook Australian Drivers' Championship results for race number 4. Hayden Crosland goes 4 from 4 this weekend with Damon Sterling, the runner-up. Girton back in 3rd. Nico French, what a fight there he had with Dean Crook to hold on for 4th. Hamish Leighton, unfortunately relegated back to 6th, and Smith, McGarry, Stasi and Davey to round out your top 10. A couple of retirements in this one, unfortunately. Kircher there, we saw him go off in the 95 machine, so hopefully they'll get that repaired for next round. I'm sure it'll just be that clutch. Another one of those ones is Zach Catlin there, who unfortunately made contact with Smith and just came in a little bit too hot on one of those ones and didn't manage to finish the race. Well, the celebrations are going to go late into tonight here, obviously being the local kid. As we see the celebration, have a look at that, the celebrations down in pit lane. The crew are there. I think there's going to be a little tear shed at this point. You can see it there, just behind the glass, it's starting to well up a little bit.
They said to me coming into this weekend, it was a challenging round, round 2 at One Raceway. They dropped a lot of points to the title rivals, but they've gained it back here. Down to you, J-Mac.
Congratulations, Hayden. A job well done. Your first clean sweep, and it happens on home soil. And these guys were all here to see it. How do you feel?
Mate, this is the best feeling. No words can describe it. Had a big week leading up in this, and it's really good. So good.
Congratulations. It's a hard-fought victory. What does it mean to you?
Oh, it means the world. Like I said, I had a big week. I lost my pa about a week ago, so huge week, but I did it for him, and we did it. Let's go.
Hayden, get in there. Guys, give it up.
You can see why it's been such an emotional weekend for him now, can't you? Crossland, who's been just doing it out there. He'll have his grandfather in his thoughts there, I'm for sure, and have all his family and friends here. The celebrations are going to keep going, I think, down in the pits later. And tell you what, I wouldn't want to be the local pub. I reckon it's going to be a big one for those boys. So we're going to have a short break here at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series and be back with those legend cars right after this break. Well, the Legend Cars Australia always give us some very exciting racing, and it's not going to be any different. We've already seen race number 1 from them. This is the second race of the evening. It's well and truly under lights here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Welcome back to the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Cars are on track. We are not going to muck around. We get this one underway. These are, what a majority of them, I suppose, are little 3-cylinders now. They used to be a little 4-cylinder, but most run the 390cc fuel-injected engines and AASA send. Look at this. Let's get started, though, with the TFH Hire Legend Cars Australia. We're going to get right into this race. Timmy, we're not going to muck around either as we get them out there. Aidan Williams going to start off the front with Dylan Thomas, and it's going to be Tate and Sendel, Bernard and Pring, Craig and Kamenoeri, Goodridge and Tippett to round out your top 10. Time to let them unleash to near. We know how wide they're going to go. Jared McLean joins me back in the commentary box. J-Mac, It's time. The Legend Cars Australia, we've built to this final race. We know what we've seen in TA2 where they don't leave any panels on it in the final race. Will the Legend Cars go down the same path, or are we going to see a fast, clean race out of this one?
It has been a stunning weekend of racing, and this is the final hurrah for these pint-sized pocket rockets as we get set for the red lights to go out. And away we go. A great launch there from Thomas. It's on the outside.
Have a look at Asker Sendel as well in the 55 around. Him and Aidan Williams have gone wheel to wheel all weekend. And Ryan Pring, the Aussie #1, Shane Taney got himself a race win in race number 3. Also in the mix here in the budget car rentals entry. As you look at Williams, just cuts off Ryan Pring at the moment in the green and gold machine.
where he picked up 4 positions there on the launch, sees himself up into 5th spot, and will look to try and hold that down to the neons underneath as they're going 2 and 3 wide through the right-hander, down the hill, over the tunnel here at Sydney Motorsport Park. That's where that elevation comes from. Back down the order. Tate, we haven't seen him back as far as 6 for some time, falling back down after that start.
Craig coming through the second of the CXC machines, actually the new car in the fleet, getting the keys to that this weekend as Dylan Thomas out in front in what was the original Legend car that was purchased by the team. Asker Sendel right behind, who's been very fast this weekend, including getting his first ever Legend Cars Australia race win, just starting to hone those skills and getting a lot of support from Lockie Ward, who's now racing over in the States and doing a lot over there, and Asker Sendel will join him later in the year as he goes and negotiates a few rounds of the World Legends racing in the United States. The young gun, he's got a lot to prove here, I think, in Legend Cars in the coming years. Straight out of go-karting, only got 1 season under his belt, whereas Dylan Thomas a few more. Oh, there we go, the 255 machine has gone into the dirt, and that's unfortunate to see him go off.
Yeah, Kaminawari finds himself victim to Sydney Motorsport Park's very deep, bottomless even, gravel traps. As we make the headlong tilt towards the start-finish line at the front, Dylan Thomas leads out Asker Sendel with Aidan Williams in 3rd. Pring and Tate, number 4 and 5 on the road, with Ben Ode on the outside of the top 5 looking in.
I think that Dylan Thomas might have got away just enough to break that draft as Aidan Williams has a look down the inside of Asker Sendel. We'll have to let him through at this stage. How will Asker fight back from this one? Will he try and come back on the inside? Looks like Williams will cover that off in the green and gold 95. Just in the background, we can see the green LEDs on from the #1 Ryan Pring out of the ACT as Asker Sendel just kicks up a bit of dirt on the exit of 3.
Pring under fire now. He's copping heat from the 147 of Tate, the budget rent cars machine. Have a look at this. Your Aussie #1 with the bright green wheels is having to find every inch of track, but Tate just seems to be able to go that little bit further, that little bit faster.
He's a little bit smoother, I think, through that section, whereas Pring is really having to drive that car at the moment.
Your man leading the charge. Oh, no. Problems there for the 26 machine. Having a look down the order, trying to work out who that was.
That's Seth Morgan, Scotty Morgan's son, the young gun. He's actually been slowly improving in the Legend Cars as well. Not bad to have your dad here. He's been very stout across the Legend Car Championships over the years.
A fast mover in the 6th spot. Craig has gone purple in sectors 1 and 2. Currently holds the quick time with a 1 minute 16.73 in position 6, just behind Ryan Pring.
And here we go, Asker Sendel with a big move down the inside. There's going to be a big speed difference here. Look at that, 5 kilometres an hour. Asker Sendel gets a nice run. Have a look at Aidan Williams, fights back down the inside. Asker's going to close that door. Can he close it enough? No. Aidan Williams puts his foot in there, says, you're not closing this one on me, and I'm coming through. The green and gold stays in #2 position. Thomas, though, has that 1.3 second lead, which is enough to break the toe. And have a look at the armband. I don't know if he's saying come by and have a go, or he's saying that was fantastic racing.
Here we go, 2 by 2 through the right-hander. Having a look back down the order now, this is
Spicer, De Boynton, yeah, Melville. Melville just coming up in the 81 over De Boynton. They're battling that out for 13th. Spicer's got a bit of a reprieve at the moment. It's not going to be for long, though. It goes back to Hogan, Preto and Morgan in the background.
Sendel just drawing up onto the back of Williams in the green and gold. That's the battle for 2nd. that you see from our drone here over Sydney Motorsport Park. We're clean and green. And Sandel just trying to dial in that rotation in the 55 machine.
Here we go, they reset down the main straight. AASA Sandel. Can he put it down the inside? He does, but last time he didn't cover it off, and Aidan Williams came back down, cut him off, did the crisscross. AASA Sandel this time, is he going to try and hug that turn number 1 and keep the car on the inside? He'd be smart to do so. There you go. Closes that gap down. He'll stay on the inside in the run to turn number 2. It's all about braking down here and controlling the car.
You can see these things maxing out their suspension travel under brakes. Watch the front of the car dip down on the heavy application through 2 and 3. They get the cars moving.
Well, this looks like it'll probably be the final lap for the Legend cars, and it might not be where AASA Sandel wants to be at the front. You know the toe they're going to get down. It's going to go right down to the wire. We'll wait and see how that unfolds. Dylan Thomas just needs to get the car home clean halfway through this final lap.
Hasn't he skipped out? 2.8 seconds between Thomas and Sandel. It's a handy amount of breathing room, but the battle rages for 2nd and 3rd. Sandel and Williams, and then back to 4th and 5th between Tate and Pring. Only less than 0.2 of a second between those two.
What is AASA Sandel going to do to try and break away? Pring now needs to watch out for Craig, who's right on the back in the number 26. C-Machine behind him, Bernard in 7th. Craig down the inside. Can he get a run on Pring? I don't think he's close enough to Tate for Pring to have a look at that one. Tate's going to scoot away in 4th position and likely to be out there on his own as they come up to the final couple of corners. Sandel might have enough of a lead here. He cuts down the inside line, tries to drive the 55 off as fast as possible. Can he keep it on the concrete? He does. But our winner, Dylan Thomas, gets a 2nd win in the Legend Cars Australia here at round number 3 of their championship. Checkered flag out. Sandel, can he hold on? This one's going to be close. They go across the finish line, and it's 24 hundredths of a second. As they come across the line, I'm just having a look. Is that going to be Bond in the 17 car in the green, number 17, Dick Johnson livery? Let's have a look at the results here for the TFHI Legend Cars Australia, sponsored by Simpson Tarache. Dylan Thomas, your number 1, was Sandel, Williams, Tate, Pring to round out your top 5, followed by Craig, Bernard, Skinner, Goodridge, and Timothy Reed. It was a great finish there, wasn't it, from those? We really had 3 races going on in the top, well, 4 races in the top 10.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild. We saw everyone separate into their sparring pairs, as it were. Surprising to see Pring come home just inside that top 5. The Aussie number 1 only has a tenuous lead in the points, but still, the season is long.
Well, we've still got a few rounds to go when it comes to the Legend Cars Australia, and they always bring exciting racing wherever they go. We can't wait to have them at the next round of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series up in Queensland with big numbers as well. It's going to be interesting to watch that go around the paperclip. It'll be great to see him come back to Winton Motor Raceway too. That's a real favourite for me. Let's head down to Victory Lane though with Mel.
Dylan Thomas, it's not very often you get the track to yourself in a Legends race. Well done.
Yeah, no, that was... The car was mint. We actually got a bit of sky action in the last one, and we actually broke all the engine mounts, the shifter. We had 6 hours in between races, so thank God we did, because we've had to basically rebuild the whole front of the car. I was actually not even sure if it was going to work great, but boys did a great job. CXC Racing got the wheel alignment good. Big congratulations to AASA Sandel. He's won the round, semi-pro, beating all the pro guys. So always cool to see a young bloke do well.
Fantastic weekend with the Legends. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks, cheers.
We're going to go from one open wheel category to another now. We've gone on to the Australian Formula Ford Stars Series. Kobe Williams has been peerless so far this weekend. He'll start from the front of this one, ahead of Lachlan Everett, who once again was the bridesmaid earlier on today. Joe Fawcett will come out of 3rd, William Lowing 4th, and then the field continued to come through with Ethan Fitzgerald and Jamie Rowe rounding out the field.
Well, Rowe won't be there. I actually went out and had a look at that car after the rollover. A lot of dirt in the air intake and things like that. They get a bit of bar work to clean up on that one. I'm sure they'll get it done before the next round. But can these two go at it? Williams and Evernet, are they going to fight this out again, or will Fawcett decide that he's got to make a move very early on? Let's wait for the lights to go out here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Have a look how good it looks lit up here for this Saturday night of racing. The Sydney sundown, well, it's well and truly down now. It's down to 12 degrees, the cool air. These cars are going to have optimal performance right now. Can they keep the temperature in these tyres? We're going to see them slide around and get really excited. Have a look down the inside from the second last row there. It looks like we might have a run. Johnson was it, as he has a look down the inside along the wall. And Williams once again will take ownership of that lead.
Certainly does. He goes the full defensive line. Down to turn two, a big lockup, a huge lockup from Lachlan Evernet. He sailed it wide. He's just about held on to second position. William Lowing made a good start. He had to prop up as a result of Evernet swinging back onto the racing line, and that assisted Fawcett in retaining third position. So they were wheel to wheel through, midway through that corner. And yeah, William Lowing just had to back out at a crucial moment. Hunter Salvatore's right in there, directly behind Lowing as well. This is great stuff to kick things off, but that was a big lockup for Evernet. He'll be feeling that potentially for the rest of the entire motor race.
Yeah, we can see those outer limits are really rough on these cars. They're so low to the ground. I don't know how much longer they can keep taking that type of abuse, and before we see potentially some damage come through. The pack not too fast spread out at the moment, still under a couple of seconds amongst all 11 cars out on track. Williams just opens up a little bit now. It's down to, well, it's opened up to just over half a second. A little bit of sparks there from underneath the car. You're really going to worry about it on that turn 11 there. If you go to that outer section, it's a little bit off camera. It tries to pull the car away from turning left. And Everett gets a good run down the straight here. We'll have a look at what the speed difference is, especially with a little bit of toe force. It looks a little bit further back at the moment. And as they head down, have a look at that, 5 kilometres, 6 kilometres an hour for Fawcett, who's got the advantage down here. And will there be enough toe to make a charge on Williams? We're seeing Williams really fast in sector number 2, and he goes a 1:35.38, which is the fastest lap of this race so far, the first full flying lap. And you can see the cars moving around as that draft down the main straight though. And have a look, Evernet now is going to have another look down the inside. Super aggressive tonight compared to yesterday, where we wouldn't have seen him make the same move, and he gets the lead. And are we going to see this exchange of position number 1 again like we did last race?
There's a real ding-dong battle between these two in the opening race of the night. So let's see how this one plays out. Fawcett was with them all race long earlier on. He's been dropped back by about half a second at this point in time, but I'm not ruling Fawcett out by any stretch of the imagination. Let's not forget, he came from the very back of the field to finish in third yesterday. How good is this championship leader having to fight for this one? Kobe Williams on 430 points. His two closest title rivals are ahead and behind him. He is in a sandwich between the two. He doesn't want that though, and he's got a lovely toe down the pit straight this time. Evernet forced to defend around the sweeper. Can Kobe Williams cut back to the inside, do a bit of a crisscross for the inside at turn 2? He's going to try. He's late on the brakes. Deep, deep, deep up the inside and through. Fawcett wanted to follow through as well, but there was no room at the end.
Well, he just quite wasn't close enough, was he, to put the inside of the car up. He probably could have gone wheel to wheel, but that would have come off second best in that instance. So didn't want to get in there. Fawcett being very respectful at this point as we have a look on the replay of how this manoeuvre was done. Through turn 1, they're really going hard, and then under brakes there. You see Fawcett has a look down the inside. Evernet almost closed that off just a fraction there, just to make sure, knowing that Fawcett is the third car there in the train. Yeah, the fight is on a bit further down the pack, isn't it? So having a look at the 61 now, James and Johnson, well, they've swapped positions, but it's still exciting to watch them fight this out position. Oh no, our leaders, they're at it again. They're side by side going to turn 1 at over 200 kilometres an hour. It's 220 kilometres an hour, and you can see the back end just holding on there as it slides around a little bit. And Evernet down the inside under brakes. Williams is going to hold around the outside, and I hope he can shut it down. Force it again, just can't quite get the nose of the Formula Ford in.
Well, Fawcett at the last event. It was 3 victories to Williams. However, he got the better of him in the final race. Lachlan Evanet will be hoping to do the same this weekend again. Williams has won the first 3 races. Oh, around goes Fitzgerald. A bit wide on the concrete there, got on the power, and it's dirty. There's lots of marbles, debris, grass out there that wide. Got on the power, and the retire said, oh, no, thank you.
Good news is, car did not stop, turned around, and that means we're not going to see any yellows out there at the moment in that dreaded Hyundai safety car that we absolutely love. We'll get to sit there in pit lane for another lap or two. Hopefully it'll be there for the whole entire race. Check out a little bit of a replay, see if we can figure out what happened just here wide. And it has been marbling up on the outside of the track. Very different. You can see the concrete dust almost coming up. Very different surface to what you see on the bitumen. And scary to be out that wide. Was a couple of legends out there a bit earlier. Some big braking opportunities.
Fitzgerald's come in the pits. I thought that was a harmless little spin that we saw down there at turn number 2, but maybe there's a little bit more to it than we first thought, and that could be the reason for his pit lane entry. He's going to go a lap down here on the race leaders who come on to the long straight down towards turn 1. Not as long as the drag strip over just on the back section of the circuit, but down here at turn 1, they're going to be side by side again, are they? No, Williams this time, again, looking for the cut back up the inside, and he's done that. He's judged that to absolute perfection. He's got the high ground, he's got the inside line, and there's nothing Evanet can do about that one. That was judged beautifully.
This is a speedway, we call that a slide job. He actually slid that car in, made sure it was stuck to the inside of Evanet as well, and he just couldn't come over and defend that at all. And have a look at this, Evanet, not going to wait till the main straight to try and defend this, comes down the inside. Can he get it done? No, a little bit of a run just on that outer section of the track. Gives a bit more pace to Williams, and have a look at Fawcett. Evanet better watch out, because Fawcett's been very, very patient, but the frustration building now, and Fawcett on the outside as Evanet covers off, and another brake lock up at turn 6.
That's not the first for him in this race. He hasn't done it for a few laps, Evanet, but that was one of his biggest, if not the biggest, to this point in time. 3 minutes left on the clock. The intensity's risen, and this is a great fight. The top 3, as they have been all day long, can't be separated on the racetrack.
The final lap out here for the Formula Fords for round 2 of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. It's their round 4 of racing, not because they've done 4 different weekends, because each day is a round. 2 days at round 1, 2 days at round 2, and it's these 3 who have been dominant throughout the series. Just having a look here, he goes really wide, Fawcett. He's using an extra 10 metres each lap, just using the outer extremities of the circuit, really pushing those limits.
Force Williams to defend down into turn 6, and this is the closest he's been at this section of the track, but Williams always loves to slide it through turn 8, but he has to go defensive. They're all running the low line down towards the hairpin. Who's going to win? Is it going to be a drag race to the line? We've seen it in Formula V's on a number of occasions this weekend. We had a race earlier on today, separated by 1,000th in the V's, and I think it could be another drag race to the line once again. Kobe Williams slides it around onto the final corner, onto pit straight. This is going to be really, really close here. Evanet is the closest he's been. He's going to come alongside as they come across the line, but Williams just about has the momentum and takes a clean sweep here at Sydney Motorsport Park. We're going to see a similar story though further back. Johnson and James Johnson giving him just about a Formula Ford's width and then moving across on him. Good hard racing there, and he does hold on, but he had to fight for that one coming out the final corner.
Yeah, Williams with a dominant weekend, taking out all the qualifying in every race, but Evanet pushed him to the absolute limit to try and get a win there. Unfortunately, runner-up in every race. You go further back and have a look at that, 67 thousandths of a second between James and Johnson as well. So a great race to finish off the Formula Ford Series here tonight. Kobe Williams will take your win with Lachlan Evanet in second. Then it's back to Fawcett and Lowing. Salvatore had a run of his own. Johnson and James fought it out all the way to the end before Tabitha Ambrose got the position number 8 over Bellac and High to round out your 10 on track to finish the race off. Fitzgerald unfortunately retired a little bit early out of this race in that green machine after spinning on turn number 2 out in the concrete. So we'll have to wait and see if Jamie Rowe can get that car fixed before next round, because it's got a little bit of bar work to be replaced like it can be. But yes, a lot of dirt in that car and the intake of that motor, as well as a lot of bar work to be replaced with the bends out the back here. So great to see these three though. They didn't let up at all. There was, I suppose you could sort of say that he was a little bit dominant, Williams, in terms of winning all the races, but you can't say that it was easy.
The only mistake I've seen him make there is he left his radio plugged in as he hopped out of the car. His championship lead is over 150 points now on Joe Fawcett, who's taken up second position in the standings. Mel, to you.
Kobe Williams, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, that was an awesome race. Lockie and Joe, we fought so hard, swapped for the lead multiple times. Really happy to come away with the clean sweep, and overall an awesome weekend.
And as always, you kept us guessing till the last lap.
Yeah, it was kept me on my toes all race. So just a big thanks to all my sponsors, ACMF Finance, Sick Lids, and my parents, Adam, everyone that works on the car and everyone that helps out.
Well, brilliant job. We can't wait to see you at the next round of the Super Series.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Clean racing from the top three, wasn't it? Not a scratch on those cars between Williams, Evanet and Fawcett. But yeah, Williams, big smile on his face and goes away with the championship lead after round two. We're going to be back with all the muscle of the TA2 cars up next. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back soon.
Back at Sydney Motorsport Park, we gear up for the final race of the TFHI TA2 Muscle Car Series by Maritimo. It's been a very hectic 2 days of racing in the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. We've loved our time here under lights. Here is the grid based on the result from our earlier race. Tim Brook ready with the broom in hand for a clean sweep this weekend for AASA Motorsports with Josh Thomas on the front row. Big shout out to Brock Payne in that third position in his first ever weekend of racing. Brad Gardner is back out in the field there after breaking that steering arm. There's also a gearbox drama for that 35-unit racing car. So some fast cars from the back. We'll take all the action in from the hard charger, potentially the hypercoil hard charger of the round. Diesel Thomas, who drove from 20th up into 7th position and hoping for more here. But Tim Brook looking to secure a clean sweep of the weekend. 2 pole positions and 3 race wins so far. And we'll find out in just on 25 minutes' time whether he has done that. Brock Payne daring to dream from the inside of row number 2. And the calm before the storm. That is TFHI, TA2 Muscle Car Series by Maritimo. Let's go for a ride with Brad Gardner, Saturday Night Styles, down to turn number 1. Oh no, we're 3 wide. We're 3 wide, it's on in the background. Somehow they survive. No, they don't. This big damage as Chiara Sabatakis.
She was sideways at the start of the race. I don't know what happened, whether there was contact. That was well and truly after the start line.
And Tom Davies is around, but look at the damage to the Chevy Camaro. There's smoke in the air down in turn number 1. Ben Gomersall was also in there somehow. Tom Davies was around, and have a look who leads. Brock Payne, the rookie, in the Hutchinson Builders Chevy Camaro. From 3rd position, leads from Brook, from Thomas. Diesel Thomas is 3rd.
He's got past his brother already in the opening couple of exchanges of this. Of course, safety car's already been called. Mark Crutch, oh no, this was the final race last year, race number 4, where unfortunately that car came to an unfortunate end. But again, and Cheney caught up in that mishap. I don't know where Gardner is, whether he's made it through. I think he might have. Look at the front of that car.
Now, keep in mind, Graham Cheney, Mark Crutcher are all going west. They don't need the damage. But how about the move from Brock Payne to the lead? A rookie daring to dream in only his 4th ever race. The Formula RX-8 champion is leading from Tim Brook, and perhaps will deny the Oran Park racer from taking the clean sweep. Here is the replay at the start, thanks to Hi-Tec Oils. From the Hi-Tec Oils Chevy Camaro, a Brad Gardner who charged through, but only got to 17th in all of this. He was picking off Warren Wadley. But watch to the right-hand side. There's Sabatakis. Now 2 and 3. Oh, Gardner got served by someone and just kept that car straight. That was Gomersall taking to the weeds on the outside as well. This will tell us more from turn 1. Brock Payne was taking no for an answer down the inside. Watch the left. Ah, Sabatakis got the grass in the background. So the lady racer got up on that grass and set herself into the field. There it is in the background, but up here a very lazy spin with a bit of contact maybe from the 9 of Cameron Laws on Tom Davies. Ben Gomersall, almost in his second incident in as many corners in a unit racing car. There was Gardner limping around in the background of the shot. Chris Pether on the radio there too. Gardner limping into pit lane 2. The rock star Danny Reedy in the Chevy Camaro. So he shed some skin here in his number 5.
Potentially that won't be too bad if they haven't done any suspension damage. Maybe the tyre, you're going to see him change. They'll race tape that up and get him back out there. Try and at some points in this one, it shouldn't affect the car too much.
Let's have a look again from the camera in the grandstand. So Brooke got away. Brock Payne and Tom Davies trying to make this 4 wide. Breathtaking stuff. There was Sabatakis across and into Danny Reedy, into Brad Gardner. And across the field, in fact, that smoke is still lingering down there at turn number 1. That white cleanup powder on the right is from an incident here on Thursday night during practice. And Mel Price, you've got a lot of customers down here in pit lane.
Mark Crutcher, you look like you've been opened with a can opener. What a horrible start to the race.
Yeah, we finally fixed the gremlins in the car. We found the problem was in one of the shocks, and I think we got 6 on the first corner, and we really made a powerful start. Something happened in front, they spun, and we're just a casualty. Bad luck. The boys are all pushing. Stuff happens. Just unfortunate, but I'll go up and watch it now. It's pretty exciting to watch as well, isn't it?
Well, no one should be watching their own race, but pleased to know the car's sorted and look forward to seeing you back up the front next time.
I look forward to it. Thanks, guys. All the best.
So here it is from Gardner's in-car. There's Sabatakis to the right. She'll move over. Listen. And that's the contact when she ran into Danny Reedy, who dominoed into the 22. And watch Ben Gomersall surf around the outside. He was almost caught up in another incident at the top of turn number 2. So I wonder if it's rear damage, because I certainly didn't see the car at the front. He's back in pit lane now, and the Hi-Tec Oils team and Waltec Motorsport going to work on the front right.
It could just be a little bit of bodywork potentially rubbing on something, or who knows if it's picked something up.
Yeah, it's a shame for Chiara. This is her home track, and of course the state of origin battle between Queensland and New South Wales. It's littered down the field right now. It's Danny Reedy is about to rejoin with some Bush Mechanics efforts on the front of his Desert Palms Danny Orr Earth Moving number 5. They want to try and seal off the front of that car as much as they can to stop all the air getting in underneath and perhaps tearing up the bonnet or guards. With these cars topping speeds around 250 kilometres an hour. He's just going to get back on the track maybe. While the field, headed by the rookie Brock Payne. Can he do this on his first weekend? Well, let's find out. 15.5 minutes, hopefully that's settled the nerves of this TA2 Muscle Car Series field. Is down to turn number 1. The Chevy Camaro leads from another Chevy Camaro. Then it's Diesel Thomas. Whoa, sideways in the front 2. Cold tyres catching the both front guys out on the way up to turn number 1 on this restart lap.
Let's see how many people are going to really put those tyres to the test under brakes at the moment. Payne did a nice job. Brooks slid the car out. Diesel Thomas, well, he would have upset older brother, you think. Josh Thomas didn't know what was happening, and our car's slowing in the background. Gomersall pulls to the left in the unit entry.
There was more damage on the front of that car. The bonnet, the hood's been crunched on that car, so maybe he can't see from the 35, and this is not going to help his series campaign. Remember, Tim Brook is in the 118, the second car in this shot, but his points will go towards Jared Hughes' point score this year.
Brock Payne still being dominant down here at the moment. Let's get down to pit lane though with Mel.
Yet another casualty of the lap 1 incident. Danny Reedy, what's your take on it?
From what I've been told, it happened very quick and it was very solid hit from what I could feel. I just closed my eyes in the end because I started facing backwards, but I believe Gomersall's done a bit of a crazy move and got the young girl at the back there, and she's come across, T-boned me and then turned me around, and it was just a chain reaction from there. It got a few people.
So obviously the car just didn't feel right after that.
Yeah, like the front guard was hanging off. I've got a flat tyre, but I've got the bottom trailing arms bent like a banana at the moment, so just trying to pull me off the track, and my steering's about halfway out of degrees.
Better luck next time.
Yeah, thank you.
But apart from that, the car's okay. Poor Danny Reedy.
Oh, who was that? Was that something going off in the background? No, it wasn't. Just saw something up on our screen.
I don't think we can afford to have any more cars going off the track here today, with Reedy, Crutcher, Cheney and Zabatakis all out of today's affair. It's going to be hard for our management crew to work out who's going to be our Willwood big breaker and our Hypercoil hard charger of this weekend's round. Spare a thought, who's going to get our AC Delco Field the Love Award, $5,000 worth of tools. Thanks to AC Delco for the driver that's had the toughest weekend. There might be a few candidates for that one at the end of tonight's race.
I feel like at the moment our top 4 or 5 are probably what we can lock in at the end of this race, but I feel further down the field we might see some provisional results as we go in late into the night.
Tend to agree.
There's going to be a couple of them out there, and Davey's got the move done on Hayden Jackson, takes on 10th position now, and Hayden Jackson just dropping off a little bit in the 81 and going really wide on the exit of turn 5. Brock Payne, how dominant is this from him? He took the risk, that went down the inside, a bit like what we saw from Brett Gardner last night, taking the wall on, ran down the inside, got a great start on Tim Brook. Big brother doesn't like it when younger brother tries to teach him a lesson, that's for sure. Thomas doing a fantastic job though. Brock Payne leading this after what was a treacherous start there where Webster's tail shaft came out, and unfortunately Debris cut the tyre on him in race number 1, and they had that guard ripped open by a deflating tyre that was flapping around, and unfortunately for him that probably brought a bit of a sour taste into his mouth yesterday, but what a day he's had on day number 2. Race 3 and 4 of his TA2 career as we look at Todd Hazelwood sitting down in the pits watching these two, and imagine what he's got to say to him down the radio now, boys.
Yeah, I was going to say, he looks a bit stressed down there, does Toddy? A lot of experience, and what a season he had last year, didn't he? Winning the Trans Am Championship and then going on to win Bathurst. Yes, he's a Bathurst champion now after winning at Mount Panorama with Brody Kostecki for Erebus last year. On the radio to the 2 TFH drivers. But up front, it's starting to heat up. In fact, 3rd and 4th are starting to close in. We've got a 4-car scrap building for the lead in the final race of TFH Hire TA2 muscle cars. Down through turn number 7. And a long way to play out still, 4.5 minutes and change in this final race.
Run down our Ringers Western leaderboard. Payne leading us over Brook. The 2 Thomas brothers there in 3rd and 4th, and it's Webster, Collier, Laws. Coulter up into the top 10. That'll be a good comeback from him. Davies in 9th and Jackson in 10th with Stips just behind. Tell you what, Michael Coulter doing a fantastic job this weekend to bring that car back after what's been probably not a great start on Friday night, but Saturday's gone a bit better for him. His dad Steve over in Canada will be watching the racing at the moment, missing out on the home race while he's off there having a holiday.
Hasn't missed a race since 2019. In fact, Michael's quite experienced. He's approaching 100 races in the TA2 Muscle Car Series. Father Steve was amazing in that little Isuzu truck back in the Super Truck Nationals days. A nice family-run team that just enjoy going car racing. Up at the top of turn number 3, Josh Thomas is back ahead. Is that 15 all or 30-15 between the two?
Well, we're going to have to go down and ask them, I think. You can see how animated is he?
Ahead, though, there's a change at the front. We've just seen the lead change, and Tim Brook goes back to the lead of the race.
It's just the experience, isn't it, Tim? He's raced many different cars. He's getting the opportunity to do a round in TA2 at the moment. He's stepped in as a co-driver in the last couple of years in the endurance rounds that we've had as part of the TA2, but he hasn't done a full-time season in them. We saw him in a Trans Am a couple of weeks ago as well, so he's had some recent experience. He'll only get one opportunity to do it this season in TA2, though. Another one, his home track, as we'll check out a replay of this move that's made. Coming out of turn number 2, just comes down the inside. Payne goes very wide there.
He's mowing the grass. That would have taken some speed out of the 33. It was enough for the Road Active Suspensions car to take the lead. And now Josh Thomas lines up for a piece of the Chevy Camaro just ahead.
He's going to have to defend here hard. Down the inside, it's going to hurt his drive off of this corner. And have a look. Josh Thomas, the car gets a little bit crossed up there, the 69, and doesn't quite get the speed he needs out of this one as Brock Payne launches the 33 now. The Hutchinson Builders entry. What an opening round for him. It's not going to be in terms of points after yesterday's racing, but today he'd have to be really happy. We caught up with him earlier in the weekend. He said, I just want a top 10 finish. That is all I want this weekend.
Take that.
I think he's exceeded that.
Yeah. I need to reset that for the next round. So we'll get at least another lap in here. The gap out to 2.1 seconds. Tim Brook back to Brock Payne. Josh Thomas, Diesel Thomas. Josh Webster in 5th. It's up towards turn number 2 we go with Cameron Laws behind Des Collier in 7th. Michael Coulter in 8th, Tom Davies 9th, Hayden Jackson still 10th. Lee Stibbs ahead of teammate Brad Gardner, who's got back up in a 12th position. That'll be maybe as far as he'll get, some 2.5 seconds behind his teammate. Domain Ramsey, Steve Wilson, Warren Wadley, and Ben Gomersall still classified in 16th position. Here is Michael Coulter, the Terps Tippers Ford Mustang with Tom Davies, who had that spin at the top of turn 2. There might be more to that as well, because I felt there was contact in the middle of turn 2 and the largely unsponsored white Chevy Camaro.
Just remembering all these cars have an onboard camera inside, so there is going to be a lot for the team behind TA2 to go through, and of course our driver standards observer is going to have to try and dissect everything that happened in the opening exchanges of this race. I feel like there's going to be a couple of computers very busy after this one.
And some teams hoping the file might be corrupt as well when they take them out of these judicial cameras that we have. What a weekend it's been for Tim Brook as he powers out of this last turn. The car, the team that prepared it, the IES Motorsports team, been helping Jared Hughes in his exploits of climbing a ladder. But it's Tim Brook's weekend as he sweeps the weekend. And at the end of the race, we see Diesel Thomas get Josh Thomas. There's something went down there at the last moment. It was only half a second, but got him at the line. The Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. Tim Brook 2.1 seconds ahead of Brock Payne. Diesel Thomas nipping him by half a second at the line with Josh Thomas, Josh Webster, Des Collier, Cameron Laws in 7th, Michael Coulter, Tom Davies and Hayden Jackson, the Dodge Challenger, home for 10th. In the final race, Brad Gardner got ahead of Lee Stibbs in the end to get 11th position, and right in the wrong of a tough one. Lee Stibbs in 12th with Domain Ramsey, Wilson and Wadley completing the field. Well done to Tim Brook. It's time to head down and hear from our round winner as he climbs out of car number 118. What an effort for Tim Brook, and maximum points added towards Jared Hughes' effort. He'll return to the series when we head to Queensland Raceway in a couple of weeks' time. But the Super Sub delivers under the lights here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Thoroughly enjoyed all 4 races. Let's go down to Melinda Price in pit lane.
Brooksy, you absolute legend. 4 for 4.
Yeah, thanks, Pricey. What a weekend. Yeah, super stoked. That was a good one then. I got the worst start out of the 4 for the weekend. Just buzzed the rears, and Brock was on the inside and Josh was on the outside, and kind of all hell broke loose there at turn 1. But ripper race. Brock drove well, same with Diesel as well. I don't know if it's his first podium, but I'm sure it's early on in his career to get on the podium there. So good to see some young talent getting up there and giving us a bit of a hustle, making me work harder than I needed to. But big thanks to my crew, Gra and Hads. IES Motorsport for letting me have a steer this weekend, and yeah, really enjoyed it. It's good to go racing again.
Well, fantastic to see you here, and here's your trophy. Fantastic effort.
Thank you.
Well, thanks very much for watching us here as part of round 2 of the Hi-Tec Oil Super Series. You just watched our legend cars, some fantastic races as we've been through. Make sure you recap it all on our socials at Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. We'll catch you next time at the end of June up at Queensland Raceway.
The one you care for, I'm pretty sure you're riding to the core. Those late night talks and cigarettes we started sharing after